My daughter blocked me everywhere, but the nursing home still called me next of kin. That's how my morning started, with a phone vibrating on the nightstand like it carried the weight of the whole world and a voice on the other end saying a name I hadn't heard spoken to me in months. Ms. Carter? This is Ridgeview Nursing. We need your consent for a medical decision regarding your daughter, Savannah. Savannah. Lord, I hadn't seen that child's face except in old photographs since the day she told me I wasn't her mother anymore. She said it calmly too, like reading weather off a screen. I don't have a mother. And you don't have a daughter. Then she blocked me. Phone, email, socials, even the delivery apps. You ever been so erased you couldn't even send your child a pizza? But there I was that morning, the sun barely a thin whisper through my curtains, listening to a stranger call me something my own child wouldn't, her next of kin. I sat up slowly. My bones cracked the way they do when you've lived through too many disappointments and not enough apologies. This must be a mistake, I said. She doesn't list me for anything anymore. The nurse hesitated. Ma'am, the paperwork was signed by your daughter herself. And, well, you're the only emergency contact she trusts enough to authorize. I laughed. Not the light kind. The hollow kind that tastes like disbelief. Trusted? My child trusted me? No. Something wasn't right. What happened to her? I whispered. Another pause. Long enough for my fears to grow legs. There's been an incident, Ms. Carter. And before we proceed, we need your approval. I pressed my hand against my chest. My heart felt too big for my ribs, like it wanted out. Is she conscious? I asked. No, ma'am. The room went still. Even the clock stopped sounding like a clock and started sounding like a threat. I'll be there, I told her. But when I stood up, my knees buckled a little, because part of me was afraid this was the moment. I'd learned the real reason she cut me out of my life. Sometimes the truth waits. Sometimes it hides. And sometimes, sweetheart, it comes calling at 7:30 on a Wednesday morning from a nursing home you've never even heard of. Before everything fell apart with my daughter, my life was small, ordinary, quiet in that stubborn way life gets when you get used to loneliness. I work at a library, been there 28 years now. The building smells like old pages and lemon cleaner, and the carpet's worn right down the middle from folks walking the same path for decades. I open every morning at 9. People think librarians drink tea and whisper all day, but sweetheart, it's heavy work keeping other people's worlds in order when your own sits crooked. I live alone now. Just me and an aging calico cat named Mabel who only shows affection when there's tuna involved. My kitchen is small, yellow tiles, chipped edges, a little plant on the windowsill that refuses to die even though I forget to water it half the time. Every morning, I make the same breakfast, 2 scrambled eggs, 1 piece of toast, black coffee. And every morning, I look at the chair across from mine, the one Savannah used to sit in before she packed a single suitcase and told me she needed space. A whole continent worth of space, apparently. We weren't always like that. When she was little, she used to run into the house shouting, "Mama, I'm home," like the walls needed to hear it too. She wore mismatched socks and drew suns in all 4 corners of every page she touched. But something changed when she hit 17, something sharp. The kind of sharp that cuts quiet, not loud. First, she stopped calling me mom. Then she stopped coming home for dinner. Then she stopped explaining herself altogether. And the last thing she ever said to me before she walked out, before she slammed the door so hard the hallway picture fell, was this: "You ruined my life. I don't owe you anything." No explanation. No chance to defend myself. No room for understanding. Just those words, and silence long enough to grow roots. So when Ridgeview Nursing called me that morning, when they said she had listed me as next of kin, when they said the decision was life-changing, a part of me wondered if this was divine punishment or divine mercy. Maybe both. On the drive there, my hands trembled on the steering wheel. I kept rehearsing apologies I had never been allowed to give. "Savannah, I'm sorry. Savannah, talk to me. Savannah, please just tell me why." The sky was overcast, the kind of gray that looks like a secret waiting to spill. My heart beat like footsteps in an empty hallway, echoing, unsure, too loud in the wrong places. I pulled into the parking lot and sat for a moment, watching the automatic doors open and close like a slow, breathing thing. It hit me then. No matter what she'd done, no matter what she'd said, if my baby needed me, I would walk through fire for her. Blocked or not. Loved or not. Wanted or not. Because motherhood doesn't end when a child decides it's inconvenient. Inside, everything smelled like disinfectant and old linens. The receptionist looked up with a polite smile, the kind you give strangers who might cry on you. "Ms. Carter? They're expecting you." I followed a young nurse down a long hallway. She walked fast. Too fast for someone about to deliver a truth I wasn't ready for. Just as we reached the doorway, she stopped, turned to me, and spoke softly. "Your daughter didn't want us to call anyone else. Only you. Only me." The words landed somewhere between hope and heartbreak. Then the nurse stepped aside, and I saw my child for the first time in months. Pale. Still. Hooked up to machines that beeped like small warnings. Her hair longer. Her cheeks hollow. Her hands resting quietly on the blanket like she was waiting for something she never said out loud. I touched the doorframe to steady myself. "What happened to her?" I whispered. The nurse swallowed. Hard. "That," she said, "is what you need to approve." And just like that, my world cracked open again. The nurse's words hung in the air like smoke, soft but suffocating. "That is what you need to approve." Approve? What could I possibly approve for a child who hadn't spoken to me in a year? What decision waited behind those tubes, those wires, that silence? I stepped closer to Savannah's bed. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. I just looked at her, really looked, the way only a mother does after months of absence. Her lashes rested against her cheeks like shadows. Her lips were dry, cracked. A faint bruise bloomed along her temple. Her fingernails were uneven, as if she'd been biting them from anxiety. But what broke me most, what sliced straight through bone, was how small she looked. My daughter, who once stomped through the house in combat boots and declared she didn't need anyone, least of all me, now looked like a child who had run too far and found herself lost. The nurse cleared her throat gently. "She was admitted 2 days ago. 2 days. 2 days my baby lay here and I didn't even know." I forced my voice steady. "What happened to her?" The nurse glanced toward the chart, hesitation flickering across her face. "There was an accident." Accident. That word can mean a spilled drink or a shattered life, and the space between them is often a single breath. "What kind of accident?" I asked. The nurse shifted, uncomfortable. "I'm not authorized to say until we get guardian approval." Guardian. The irony nearly knocked me over. My child had blocked me from her life, erased me from her world, yet the law still saw me as the one meant to protect her. And here stood a nurse, waiting for me to step into a role Savannah swore I no longer had. "Let me speak to her doctor," I said softly. "He'll be with you shortly. For now, please sit." I settled into the chair beside the bed. The leather was cold, stiff, like everything else in this place. The machines hummed. The air conditioning rattled in a way that made me think it hadn't been serviced in years. Somewhere down the hall, a television played a cooking show far too loudly. But here, at Savannah's bedside, time felt suspended. "Hey, baby," I whispered, brushing a hair from her forehead. "The nurse said you wanted only me listed." The words tasted strange, like hope wrapped in caution. I continued talking to her softly, the way I used to when she was afraid of thunderstorms, back when she'd crawl into my bed and press her cold feet against my legs. "You remember how we used to bake banana bread on Sundays?" I murmured. "You'd eat half the chocolate chips before they even made it into the bowl." Her eyelid twitched, just a small flutter, but it was enough to make my breath hitch. "Savannah," I whispered, leaning closer, "why didn't you call me? Why didn't you?" A shadow fell across the doorway. I straightened. A doctor stepped inside, clipboard in hand, expression serious but kind. "Miss Carter?" "Yes." He nodded. "I'm Dr. Wilson. Let's speak in the hall." I followed him out, leaving the door slightly ajar, as if keeping it open might somehow keep the distance between Savannah and me from closing completely. The hallway felt colder. Dr. Wilson took a quiet breath. "There was an overdose." I blinked. I felt the walls tilt, the floor sway, the air turn heavy. What kind of overdose?" He hesitated, choosing his words with deliberate care. Prescription medication. A sedative. Not enough to be fatal on its own, but mixed with alcohol. He let the rest trail off. My chest tightened. No, I said. Savannah doesn't drink. She's careful. Always careful. His eyes softened. Sometimes even careful young women find themselves overwhelmed. I shook my head. No, doctor. Something is missing here. She wouldn't do this. He looked at me thoughtfully. She didn't leave a note or explanation. But she did list you as her emergency contact. She made that change 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Before the accident. Before the overdose. Before any of this. Why would she do that, I whispered, if she doesn't want me in her life? He considered that. I can't answer that, Miss Carter. But I can tell you this, she fought. My eyebrows lifted. She fought. She resisted the paramedics. Kept crying, don't call him. Don't call him. When they asked who him was, she didn't answer. I felt something cold wrap around my spine. Doctor, was anyone with her? Anyone who might have given her the medication? He glanced at the chart again. That's unclear. But there are inconsistencies. Inconsistencies. Yes. The dosage was far higher than her prescription. And the bottle wasn't hers. Something inside me hardened. My daughter may have pushed me away, but I knew her. And I knew this wasn't her doing. Dr. Wilson, what decision do you need from me? He looked me straight in the eyes. She may need to transfer to a long-term recovery facility. It's a difficult decision, both medically and emotionally. But legally, only you can approve it. Only me. Only me. The woman Savannah insisted she didn't have. And the first suspicion bloomed inside me, quiet, sharp, undeniable. Something had gone wrong long before this overdose. And I was about to uncover a truth that would break me, before it rebuilt me. The doctor's words echoed long after he left. There are inconsistencies. The bottle wasn't hers. She fought them. She didn't want us calling him. Him. There was only one him in my daughter's life powerful enough to stir fear into her voice, and it wasn't some boyfriend or stranger. It was her father, Marcus. That man walked out when Savannah was 9 and came strolling back when she turned 20, talking smooth about second chances and being ready to be a real dad now. She'd soaked it up like rain after drought. I'd warned her gently then, baby, love him, but watch him. But children don't want warnings. They want miracles. Now here she was, in a hospital. Bed, silent and bruised, while the first real crack in the story appeared. She didn't want him called. I went back into her room. My knees shook, but I stayed steady. She looked so small there, swallowed by blankets and machines that beeped soft funeral notes. I sat down and took her hand, warm, but limp. Savannah, I whispered, what happened to you? She didn't answer. But her fingers twitched, just barely, as if her body was trying to confess something her mind couldn't yet form into words. I lifted my head. No tears this time. Just a growing storm of determination. Some truths don't wait to be invited, they push their way in. As soon as Savannah stabilized, the staff let me look through her belongings. A small plastic bag labeled with her name. Inside, her phone, a cracked makeup compact, a keychain with a chipped silver star, one pill bottle. I picked up the bottle. It wasn't hers. Her prescriptions always had my address from when she was a minor. This one had Marcus's address. The label was peeled halfway off, as if someone tried to remove it. And the dosage? Double her normal medication. My stomach dropped. Lord, please don't let this be what I think it is. I prayed under my breath. I unlocked Savannah's phone. The screen lit up, cracked down the middle, shattered like a metaphor too on the nose for real life. My hand shook, but I scrolled anyway. Recent messages. Deleted photos. Notes. Voice memos. Most of her texts were wiped. But her deleted notes? The cloud backup hadn't removed them yet. There were 3 entries. The first was short. I don't feel safe with him anymore. My throat tightened. The second, he says mom never wanted me. Says she's dangerous. Says he's the only one who cares. I closed my eyes. Every lie he ever told me, every charm he ever hid poison behind, he'd fed it to her too. But the third note, that was the one that nearly brought me to my knees. If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident. The room spun. My hands went cold. She wrote those words days before the overdose. And suddenly the overdose didn't look like a mistake. It looked like a message. A cry for help wrapped in medical charts and silence. "Savannah," I whispered, tears finally rising. "Why didn't you tell me?" Then another thought hit me like a punch. If she didn't want him called, did he show up anyway? I stepped out and caught the nearest nurse. "Has anyone come asking for her?" The nurse checked the visitor log. "No, ma'am. No one except you." Relief washed through me, followed quickly by a quieter fear. He hadn't come because he knew what happened. He didn't want to be connected to it. Not while she was unconscious. Not while the truth hung in the air like smoke. I thanked the nurse and walked down the hall, trying to breathe through the panic. This wasn't just a medical emergency. This was a pattern. A history. A man who wanted access to his daughter not out of love, but out of control. A man who, according to Savannah's notes, had been whispering poison into her ear. "Your mother doesn't love you. Your mother abandoned you. Your mother is crazy." And now, looking back, all the pieces aligned. Her sudden coldness toward me, blocking me everywhere, declaring she had no mother, moving in with Marcus, her rapid disappearance from my life, the shaken tone in her last voicemail. My baby didn't push me away out of hatred. She pushed me away because she was afraid. Not of me, but of losing him. The manipulation was so clear now, it almost glowed. But why now? Why the overdose? Why the fear? Why the sudden change in emergency contact form 2 weeks prior? A thought crept in, ugly, but undeniable. Was he trying to harm her? Or simply silence her? Or did she try to escape, and he reacted badly? Before I could chase that thought any further, my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. I stepped into the quiet visitor's room and answered. "Hello." A woman's voice, low and shaky. "Is this Savannah's mother?" "Yes," I said cautiously. "This is Denise. I work with Marcus." My heart pounded. She continued, "I shouldn't be calling, but I heard what happened. And I think you need to know the truth before he reaches her again." My breath caught. "Tell me," I whispered. There was a long pause. Then, "Marcus has been lying to your daughter for months. About you. About himself. About everything. And the night she overdosed, he wasn't the victim he's pretending to be." I gripped the phone tighter. "What do you mean?" Another pause, a trembling inhale. "I mean your daughter wasn't alone that night. And he didn't call for help until it was almost too late." The floor dropped from under me. The betrayal wasn't just emotional now. It was criminal. I swallowed hard. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because," she whispered, "I'm afraid he'll try to get to her when she wakes up." "And he can't. Not this time. Not this time. Not ever again." And just like that, my suspicion became certainty. I wasn't just fighting for truth anymore. I was fighting for my daughter's life. For a long moment, I couldn't speak. The phone felt hot against my ear, like the truth itself was burning through it. "Ma'am?" Denise whispered. "Are you still there?" "Yes," I managed, although my voice felt like it belonged to someone else. "I know I shouldn't have called," she continued, her words trembling at the edges. "But I heard him talking this morning. He thinks Savannah won't remember much. He plans to take care of things before she wakes." My chest tightened. "Take care of things?" I repeated quietly. "Yes." A shaky breath. "He said that once she's transferred, he'll have more control. He's been talking about legal guardianship for weeks. About money. About," she stopped. "About what?" I pushed gently. "About your daughter being too emotional to handle her own decisions. He said if he could get her to sign a few papers, everything would fall into place." My knees nearly buckled. "He wants her." "Inheritance," I whispered. "Yes." Her voice cracked. "And he's desperate. More desperate than you realize." A nurse walked by, and I turned away from the doorway, lowering my voice. "Why are you warning me?" I asked. A long silence. "Because," she said quietly, "I know what he's capable of. And your daughter, she doesn't deserve this. Not from him." I swallowed hard. "Denise, is she in danger?" "Yes." That one word punched the breath out of me. Before I could respond, I heard another voice in the background, male, sharp, controlling. Who are you talking to? Denise's breath caught. I have to go, she whispered. Please protect your daughter. Before he reaches her. The line went dead. For a moment, I stood frozen in the visitor room, my hand shaking around the phone. Then something inside me shifted. Not fear. Not panic. Resolve. The kind that rises from a place so deep, you forget you even had the strength. I walked straight to the nurse's station. Can you tell me who has access to my daughter? I asked calmly. Only you, Ms. Carter, the nurse replied. And her father, if he arrives, he is not allowed near her, I cut in, my voice sharper than I meant. The nurse blinked. Is there a protective order? She asked gently. Not yet, I said. But one is coming. The nurse seemed to understand something in my tone. She nodded slowly. I'll make a note to alert security if anyone tries to enter without your permission. Thank you. Back in Savannah's room, the machines hummed softly, unaware they were guarding more than just her heartbeat. I sat beside her again and took her hand. Baby, if you can hear me, please know this. I'm here. I'm not leaving. And nobody, not even him, is going to hurt you again. Her eyelids fluttered. Her fingers twitched. Not waking, but reacting. Like she was fighting her way back to me. A soft knock sounded at the door. The doctor returned. Ms. Carter, did you make a decision about the transfer facility? I shook my head. Not yet, doctor. But I need to ask, if someone wanted to move her without my consent, could they? His expression turned serious. No, not legally. And certainly not safely. She's not stable enough for movement without authorization. Good. I needed time. Doctor, I continued, what if someone tries to access her medical papers? That's restricted. Only caregivers, legal guardians, or authorized staff. Why do you ask? I hesitated, but only for a heartbeat. Because I believe my daughter may be in danger from someone she trusted. The doctor didn't pry. He simply nodded. I'll increase security measures on her chart. And I'll notify the staff. Thank you, I whispered. But strengthening hospital security wasn't enough. Marcus was manipulative. Charming. Clever in the cruelest ways. He didn't need to break doors to break people. He only needed access. So I stepped out into the hallway and called the only attorney I trusted, my sister Renee's best friend, who'd helped me through the divorce years ago. She answered on the second ring. Emily? Are you all right? No, I whispered. And I don't have much time. I told her everything. The overdose. The notes. The inheritance. The call from Denise. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she exhaled slowly. Emily, this is bigger than you think. If he withheld medical assistance, if he provided medication that wasn't hers, that's criminal negligence at best, intentional harm at worst. My heart thudded hard. I need to protect her, I said. And you will, she replied firmly. First step, we file an emergency protective order. I'll send the documents in 15 minutes. Once signed, he won't be allowed within 100 feet of her. And the guardianship? I asked. You're still her legal parent. If someone tries to challenge that right now, the court will see it as suspicious, especially during a medical crisis. You have the advantage. That word, advantage, felt foreign in my mouth. When will the order take effect? I asked. Immediately, once the judge signs. And trust me, I'll make sure that happens fast. Tears blurred my vision. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet, she said softly. Just stay by your daughter's side. She'll need you when she wakes. Back in the hospital room, I watched Savannah breathe. Slow, shallow, alive. My daughter. The one who said she didn't have a mother. The one who blocked me. The one who loved a man who used her pain to build power. I brushed her cheek with my thumb. Savannah, you're coming home with me, I whispered. We're going to fix this. Together. Just then, a soft buzz vibrated in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. My stomach dropped. You shouldn't be there. No name. No explanation. Just a warning. Then another message. She's mine to deal with. Not yours. And then, leave before it gets worse. A cold wave crawled up my spine. He knew I was here. He was watching. And now? Now it was war. Not for revenge. Not for anger. But for my daughter's life. The text messages glowed on my screen like small, dark warnings. You shouldn't be there. She's mine to deal with. Leave before it gets worse. My first instinct was fear. But the second, stronger, steadier, was anger. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that storms through a house breaking dishes. The quiet kind. The kind that builds itself into a promise. A nurse walked in with fresh linens, and I slipped the phone into my pocket, schooling my expression into calm. "Everything all right, Miss Carter?" she asked gently. "Yes," I lied softly. "Just tired." But as soon as she left, I marched to the nurse's station. I lowered my voice. "There may be someone trying to access my daughter," I said. "Someone dangerous." The head nurse stepped forward, a stern woman with silver hair and the posture of a retired drill sergeant. "What's his name?" she asked. I gave it. "Marcus Taylor." Her expression didn't change. "We'll alert security," she said, "and lock her visitor list." "Thank you." She placed a hand on my arm. "You'd be surprised, Miss Carter, how often the person who hurts a young woman is someone they know." I swallowed hard. I'm not surprised at all. By afternoon, the protective order had come through. I signed the documents electronically, and within minutes, the judge approved it. A sheriff's deputy called to confirm delivery. "He's officially barred from contacting you or your daughter," the deputy said. "If he shows up at the hospital, they'll detain him." For the first time in days, my breath felt a little less shallow. But fragile security is still security. And I clung to it. Late that evening, Savannah's doctor asked to speak privately. "We have test results," he said, resting a folder on the table. "There are signs of long-term sedative exposure. Enough to build dependency." My jaw tightened. "She was being drugged?" I asked quietly. He nodded. Not in doses high enough to sedate her fully, but enough to impair judgment. My hand shook as I pressed it to my forehead. For months, Savannah had been slipping away from me, mood swings, isolation, fear, that strange vacant look the last time she spoke to me. I thought it was adulthood. I thought it was resentment. I thought she hated me. But no. Someone had been slowly breaking her from the inside. I wiped a tear with the back of my hand. "Can you tell if it was intentional?" He hesitated. "Not conclusively. But the pattern is concerning." That's enough for me. But fate, it seems, wasn't done with its cruelty yet. At dawn the next morning, I stepped outside for a breath of cold air. I needed to clear my head, needed to pray for strength. That's when I saw him. Marcus. Standing across the parking lot, hands in pockets, leaning against a lamppost, watching the hospital entrance. He couldn't enter, the order barred him, but he was close enough to make a point. My heart thudded like someone striking a drum inside my chest. He saw me, lifted his chin, smirked, then tapped his wrist, as if to say, "Time is running out." I turned and walked back indoors as calmly as I could, but my legs trembled beneath the surface of composure. Security escorted me to Savannah's room. "She's safe," the guard promised. "He won't get near her." I nodded, but in my bones, I felt something rising. A storm. An unraveling. The kind of truth that comes loud enough to shake walls. By noon, the consequence began. Denise, the woman who'd called me, walked into the hospital lobby, escorted by a deputy. She spotted me, wringing her hands. "Miss Carter," she whispered, "I'm so sorry." But I had to come. They asked me to give a statement. About what? I asked softly. She lowered her eyes. About what Marcus did. My breath caught. A few moments later, a detective approached. "Miss Carter? I'm Detective Hall. We've received allegations of deliberate medical manipulation involving your daughter, Savannah." My knees almost buckled. "Medical manipulation?" I repeated. He nodded grimly. "We believe someone close to her intentionally increased her sedative dosage over time. Enough to impair memory. Enough to isolate her from loved ones. Enough to make her dependent." My hand went in my mouth. "And the overdose?" I whispered. "We're investigating whether it was self-inflicted." He paused. "Or assisted." Assisted. The word felt like a blade pressed against my heart. I sat, breathing slowly, trying not to collapse under the weight of the truth. Denise stepped forward. I told them everything, she said. He was refilling her medication for her, controlling the doses, watching her moods, telling her you were unstable, that only he understood her. Tears filled her eyes. I should have spoken sooner. I'm sorry. I reached for her hand. You saved her, I whispered. You did the right thing. Detective Hall nodded. We've issued a warrant for Marcus Taylor. If he approaches this facility again, he'll be detained immediately. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. And Savannah? I asked. When? She wakes, the detective said softly. She'll need support. This kind of manipulation leaves emotional damage. I nodded. I'll be there. And so the truth spread. Quiet at first, whispered between staff. Then louder, a police presence in the hallway. A posted notice barring Marcus from the floor. The hospital watched him now. Authorities hunted him now. The world saw his face, not as a charming father, but as a man who preyed on his own daughter's vulnerability. And me? I stayed beside Savannah. Day into night. Night into day. Holding her hand. Whispering hope. Waiting for her to come back to me. It wasn't justice yet. But it was the beginning. The beginning of her safety. The beginning of his downfall. The beginning of a truth that could finally breathe. And all that remained now was for my daughter to open her eyes and tell her part of the story. Savannah woke up on a Wednesday. Not with a dramatic gasp or panic, but slowly, like a sunrise easing over the edge of the world. Her eyelids fluttered. Her breathing changed. Her fingers twitched against mine. I leaned forward, whispering her name the same way I did when she was a child waking from bad dreams. Savannah. I'm right here, baby. Mama's right here. Her brow furrowed, as if her mind was trying to swim upward through thick, heavy water. And Mom. The word came out cracked and fragile, but it was real. It was her. Yes, I whispered, brushing a tear from her cheek. I'm here. She blinked at the room, confused. Pain flickered across her face. Not physical, emotional, like she was remembering something she didn't want to remember. Where am I? You're safe, I said softly. You're in Ridgeview Nursing. You've been resting. Her eyes drifted around, searching for something before finally landing back on me. Then she whispered something so small, so broken, it nearly split my heart open. Why did you come? I breathed slowly, steadying myself. Because I'm your mother. And you needed me. She swallowed hard, her eyes filling. But he said, her voice cracked. He said you didn't want me. I felt that lie hit the air like a slap. Baby, I said, sliding my chair closer. Someone wanted you to believe that. Someone needed you away from me so you wouldn't see the truth. Her chin trembled. I tried to call you that night. But he took my phone. Tears spilled down her cheeks, quiet and trembling. I pressed her hand against my chest. You're safe now. Nobody is going to take anything from you again. Savannah closed her eyes, breathing in shaky little bursts. I thought he loved me, she whispered. I thought he understood me. A wave of grief rose in me, grief for every child who trusts the wrong parent simply because they need so badly to belong. I know you did, I murmured. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. She opened her eyes again, searching mine. Mama, did he really try to hurt me? The question hung there, heavy with a truth she wasn't fully ready to hear. I squeezed her hand gently. He hurt you long before that night, I said softly. He hurt you with lies, with fear, with control. She looked away, tears falling without sound. I didn't know what was real anymore, she whispered. He said you left him. He said you left me. He said you didn't care if we talked. I felt a slow ache deepen in my chest, not anger, not even betrayal, but sorrow. He wanted you isolated, I explained gently. But why? I brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. Because he wanted power. And you can't control someone who feels loved. A long silence passed. Then she whispered, I'm sorry, Mom. The words broke me. All the months of distance, all the cutting words, all the times she blocked me out, none of it mattered in that moment. I leaned forward and kissed her forehead. You don't owe me an apology, baby. You were surviving something you didn't know how to name. Savannah's shoulders shook. I hurt you. You were hurting. Too, I whispered. And hurt people don't think clearly. That's not your fault. She looked at me again, really looked, like she was seeing me for the first time in years. I was so scared, she whispered. I know, I said. And I'm here now. Every step. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Later that afternoon, the detective returned for a formal statement. Savannah held onto my hand the entire time, her grip weak but determined. She told them everything she remembered, the nights she felt dizzy for no reason, the way Marcus always insisted she misremembered conversations, the arguments where he'd tell her I hated her, the pills he said were extra anxiety help, his anger when she tried to leave, the shouting, the glass that broke, the moment she collapsed, the last thing she heard, don't you dare call her. Detective Hall's jaw tightened. When it was over, Savannah leaned back, exhausted. Is he going to jail? She whispered. We're building a strong case, the detective said. Your safety is our priority. Savannah nodded, gripping my hand tighter. 3 days later, Marcus was arrested. The news reached the hospital floor quickly, nurses whispering, orderlies shaking their heads, security guards exchanging glances. But for Savannah, it was the first night she slept without nightmares. When I told her, she didn't cry. She just exhaled a long, slow breath that looked like something leaving her. Maybe fear. Maybe guilt. Maybe the version of her life he had built. He can't hurt you anymore, I whispered. She nodded, eyes still distant but lighter than before. As the days passed, Savannah began to heal. Our conversations were slow, careful pieces of a bridge we were rebuilding board by board. She apologized again. I apologized too. We cried sometimes, laughed a little, sat quietly a lot. One evening, she looked at me and said, I didn't list you as next of kin because I wanted help. I listed you because, when I thought about who would show up, I knew it would be you. I swallowed past the lump in my throat. You made the right choice, I whispered. She smiled, small, fragile, but real. For the first time in years, she looked like my daughter again. And for the first time in months, I felt hope. Real hope. The kind that grows back even in burned soil. The kind that survives lies, manipulation, and distance. The kind that says, this isn't the end. This is the beginning. Some stories don't end with fireworks. They don't end with courtroom speeches or grand apologies. Sometimes, they end quietly, like a door opening in a room you thought you'd been locked out of forever. Savannah didn't walk out of that hospital healed. No, sweetheart, healing is slower than that. But she walked out with me. And that alone felt like a miracle stitched together out of all the broken pieces we'd survived. We moved her into my home for a while, not because she couldn't live alone, but because she didn't want to. She said the silence in her apartment made her chest feel tight. Said it reminded her of all the nights she cried and believed no one loved her. So I cooked for her, sat with her during the long quiet spells, held her hand when the memories came back sharp. And little by little, the child I raised began to peek out again. One night, she stood in the kitchen doorway, twisting the hem of her sleeve like she used to when she was small. Mama, she whispered. Thank you for coming when I didn't know how to call. And Lord, my heart melted like sugar in warm water. Because being a mother doesn't stop when your child leaves. It doesn't stop when they block you. It doesn't even stop when they say they don't have a mother. No, sweetheart, motherhood is stitched into your soul. It waits. It watches. And when the moment comes, it shows up. Now I'll leave you with just one question. If someone you loved pushed you away, would you still show up when they needed you most? Tell me in the comments. And if this story touched you, go on and subscribe to Auntie Diaries. We've got more truths to tell, more hearts to hold, and more stories to walk through together.